Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Xah Talk Show. Today is August 11th, 2019. Right now it's about 9 o'clock a.m. in the morning, San Francisco time. And today we do not have a fixed topic. So today's topic is going to be random. It's something related, something about keyboard, programming, math, or Unicode. And let me adjust the window so you can see it. Let's get prepared. Okay, uh, so I'm just going to go over my blogs and let's see what we're gonna talk about. Math, extremely interesting. So let's start talking about keyboard. Then let's talk about keyboard. Okay, so what's new in keyboard? So JWZ, JWZ, the famous programmer, he coded the Netscape back in 1990, early 1990s. Netscape is a very famous hacker. He is a Emacs user. In fact, he's an ex-Emacs user. He he forked. He coded Emacs. So he's very famous, and he reviewed the ultimate hacking keyboard. Let me show you. So this is the ultimate hacking keyboard, and I did a review. Uh, so we got one guy here. Say hi. Uh, so anyway, so let's look at his blog. So he actually wrote a review of the ultimate hacking keyboard. He bought it, and it turns out he is very abrasive, rude as hell. Like he is, he has always been that way. He is one of the programmer who talks a lot. Let's see. So anyway, so he did a review, and basically the conclusion is that it's no good. He doesn't like it. Well, mostly because this is a so-called 60% keyboard. Now, 60% keyboard basically means it only has 60 keys. A typical keyboard, like one of these, let's see, typical like that, you have 110 or 105 keys. But then you have the compact, which is about 70 keys, something like that. Then you have 60% keyboard. People like to call it 60%, things like that, like this. Typically like 60 keys. So I have it. I did a review, so you can check out my review. I did a video, two videos on it. So it looks like that, 60%. So he does not like it, mostly because it's a 60% keyboard. It doesn't have much keys, and I don't like it neither. It becomes fashionable. A lot of people like this kind of keyboard. And by the way, 60% is a stupid name. Just call it 60 keys keyboard, not 60%. Um, so he doesn't like it, and mostly because it's lacking. It doesn't have the function key rows, and function keys are extremely useful. Um, I'm sorry, my glasses is. So he doesn't like it, and his manner is pretty rude. That's his style. And you see, you read the comments, and you see the guy who created the ultimate hacking keyboard, the guy who actually kindly replied to his post, but that's no help. Okay, so this is Lazio Monda guy. He created the ultimate hacking keyboard. He actually replied it, and in the most kind way possible because the JWZ is basically just flaming. He just, oh, I don't like it, this or that. So that guy kindly replied, and then JWZ also responded, and it's pretty rude. Uh, you know, so he didn't like it because mostly because it's just not many keys. You don't have function keys, and also you don't have escape key. You see, it is a problem. Uh, but if you like, basically like the creator said, basically this is a compact keyboard. So when you buy it, better be sure you like a compact keyboard. And as far as compact keyboard goes, this is one of the best, and probably I would say it's the best compact keyboard. So if you like compact keyboard, that's probably the best. Okay, so JWZ actually he has more than one keyboard reviews. He's got RSI JWZ. Let me show you. Hi guys, say hi. I got three people watching. Say hi, okay? So sorry, JWZ RSI. So Jamie Zorinsky, that's his name, and Richard Stallman, they both have serious RSI. To the degree that they cannot type anymore. Let me find the article. Say hi here, okay? Just type your opinions or questions. So celebrity programmers. Yeah, wait. Oh my God, these people copied my website. Hold on a sec. Let's show it. So famous programmers with repetitive strain injury. Now these are famous programmers who damage their hand. They cannot type. Like Richard Stallman, he used to hire a secretary to type for him. So Richard Stallman, JWZ, it's so severe, and several bunch of others. This was his setup back in 2005, and many other people. So anyway, so he's got severe RSI problems, and let's go back to. So that is why he reviewed keyboards. So he reviewed the Ultimate Hacking. He also reviewed the Matthias Ergo Pro and the Kinesis Freestyle Edge. So he doesn't have a picture. Let me show you what is Matthias Ergo Pro. Okay. And let me show you what is Kinesis Freestyle Edge. So this is Mathia Ergo Pro. The problem with this keyboard is that it's got a lousy quality. So you buy it. Sometimes the key repeat. So it's not. You hear if you read reviews, you see that often. Like people complain, the quality is not so good. So, and similarly, he also made the same complaint in his blog. And he also reviewed this one, Kinesis Freestyle Edge keyboard. Now, this keyboard came out in 2017, and I do not have it, but I judge it to be excellent. It's the best. If you prefer, full number of keys, like this one's got 92 keys, plus it has two rows functional keys. So anyway, total of 92 keys. So this is excellent. All these are mechanical key switches. Hey Dimitri, hey Dimitri. So you want and turns out this is also his favorite keyboard. So this one is the Matthias Ergo. Okay, he doesn't like. Because of the bad quality. Otherwise the design is pretty good. but the quality is not so good. So that's why. And but the Kinesis Freestyle Edge is excellent, and JWZ has reviews here, so it's excellent. So so if you are buying a keyboard among these three, Kinesis Freestyle Edge, let me show you. I'm gonna check the comments in a second. So Kinesis Freestyle Edge, that's excellent. Ultimate Hacking is also excellent, and the Matthias Ergo Pro is not so good. Okay, so you want to spend your money, between these two. It's up to you because one is compact, the other one is rather full. Let me tell you something about this. So Kinesis free, both are mechanical keys. The Kinesis Freestyle Edge, both are fully programmable. Excellent. They are programmable with internal memory, and the Kinesis Freestyle Edge it has got driverless programming. That means to swap a key or program a key, you can just press the keys to program it. It is not necessary to run, to start launch the driver software. But however, driver software is available because driver software allows you to remap keys in a massively. It's and you have a visual. You can see a diagram. So anyway, this one's got driverless. It's driverless programmable, but the Ultimate Hacking keyboard is not driverless programmable. Uh, but but however, the programmability, I think the Ultimate Hacking keyboard is much better because anyway, check out my reviews. And Ultimate Hacking is a bit more expensive, like quite a bit more expensive. So hey, Dmitry, where you from? Are you from Russia? Dmitry, the name is from Russia, right? That's a Russian name, right? And let's look up the name. So Dmitry says, "I'm a programmer. I don't do I don't do typing. I just stare at the screen and sometimes press buttons." That is fantastic. So Dmitry, are you the guy who asked about JavaScript? So maybe we can talk about that. In Moscow. Oh, cool. So yeah. So do you want to talk about the JavaScript? Uh, be, so let me know. Yeah. So okay. Yeah. So yeah. So JavaScript. So okay. So and JWZ, get off my screen, get off my screen. So so that was JWZ. I have kind of a fallout with him. Uh, anyway, oh yeah, so that's related to the topic actually. Hey, Jean Louis, I got your link now. Thanks, Xah. What link? I'm so yeah. So remind me what link. I don't remember. You know. Uh. So we talk. So let's. Okay. So let me talk about the. Yeah. There is a unpleasant incident with the creator of the JavaScript guy, whose name his name is Brendan Eich. I had a unpleasant encounter, with him. That's pretty sad, because I'm very supportive of him, since the incident where, since the Mozilla incident where about 3 or 4 years ago. So I'm very supportive, supportive of him, and I follow him on Twitter. Um, but this guy, Brenda Ike. Let me show you my blog. I have started to write a blog about it. several interesting things going on. You see this Unicode, cultural Unicode symbols, culture, Unicode symbology. This is study of Unicode symbols. So these are Chinese prosperity symbols. Then you have these Christian symbols. Anyway, let's talk about the Brendan Eich. Then maybe we talk about some of the other things. And you have this Arabic Bismillah, Bismillah. Then you have okay. Let's look at Brenda Eich. So John Lewis says, when you posted on Mastodon, you did not give me any link. Did not know it is YouTube. I don't remember which one. And yeah, because all the because a lot of people, they you guys use pseudonyms. So, and you posted a link on Mastodon. What link? You did not give any link. Did not know it is YouTube. Yeah, I don't know what you are referring to. Um, yeah, yeah, say it. Remind me. Uh, okay, so let's talk about Brenda Eich. Oh, okay. This talk. Oh, yeah. I have a problem with the. I haven't really spent time to figure out the YouTube stuff because it's supposed to have a link when you. Yeah, supposed to be this link, but looks. Anyways, I haven't tried it. Yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, so let's get to the Brenda Eich syntax soup. Okay, let's start from the beginning. Unicode, Ohm symbol, Perl 6, Python syntax soup, homotopy type theory, Bismillah, category theory, Xah Talk Show, internet map, binary hex map, uh, scripting. Okay, so, huh. Okay, so let's go to my blog. Okay, BREND. Okay, it's not there. Let's search for JavaScript. Okay, here. Why can't I find it? JavaScript. August 3rd. Oh, there. Uh, Brendan Eich, August 3rd. So let me go to the Twitter. So here is what happened. Let's go to Twitter. This so do you code JavaScript, Dimitri? You code JavaScript? Wait a minute. Something wrong with the pictures. You see this? Oh yeah, okay. Finally, it shows. So anyway, I was talking to this guy. Oh, by the way, he's this guy. Frederick Brennan is also a very interesting guy. Frederick Brennan is the creator of 8chan. Uh, you might have heard because of the recent, incidents. 8chan is become, look it up. 8chan, okay? Like just look it up. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to mention it because censorship and stuff. Just search for 8chan on the news. You'll kind of see it's all over the news. So anyway, the um, um, this guy Frederick Brennan was the creator of the Achan website. Okay, he was the creator. So anyway, he was talking to, I don't know who is this guy Joe, but they were talking, and this Joe, uh, Dimitri, are you still there, Dimitri? Say something. I mean, do you code JavaScript? Okay, so yeah, let me focus on talking about this. So anyway, so Frederick Brennan was talking with Joe, this guy. This Joe guy is really silly. He's saying, why should I use let instead of var? And like, he doesn't know. Let and var. If you code JavaScript, you know that in JavaScript 2015, it's an entire new language. ECMAScript, basically Javas, JavaScript since 2015. Basically, they created almost a entire new language, with lots of features. And one of the feature is the introduction of the let keyword. What the let keyword does is that, okay, so what, like before let you have var. There's a lot of problem with the var. For example, the scope of var. Um, well, I have to explain. I have to explain it a lot. We are getting off track, but I'm kind of aimless and directionless right now because I could start to talk about var and let, then this is becoming a tutorial of JavaScript, or I can just focus on the personal issues, these flame wars and stuff with these people. So, anyway, so let's yeah. So anyway, so you have var JavaScript. Okay, let me show you quickly. So so JavaScript, you have this var thing, okay, var x equals to 3. Now there's a lot of problems with this var, because it has the scope of var is functional scope, meaning that typically in a language, in I guess C, or I don't know, C, but Perl, or something. Typically, if you have a bracket like that, the curly bracket, then the variable will be local to within that bracket. But this is not the case in JavaScript. In JavaScript, the scope of var is called functional scope, meaning that, okay, so let me write a function. So let's say function f. Okay, let's say function f returns 3. Okay, that's a function in JavaScript. Now if you have a variable inside, let's say okay, let's comment this out. So we have a function, and okay, so that's a function in JavaScript. Okay, that's a function. Now you can call the function f, then you can call f, and let's run it. Okay, I need to save this xx.js. Okay, you see the answer is 3. Now the variable, when you use var, to declare a variable, the scope of the variable is called functional scope, which means the scope of variable is inside this function. But however, if you have something like that, var y equals to 4, let's say, this doesn't work. You see, this doesn't work. The scope, the scope of var is the nearest outer function. If there's no nearest outer function, then it's global. So the scope of var here is global. For example, I can print y, and let's see. You see, you get 4. And in the same way, for example, let's see if I move this inside here. So okay, so var. So what do you get? You'll get 4, because first of all you said 3 to x, but here you said 4 to x. This does not mean local, you see. So when you return it's 4. Let's run it. You see 4. So this is very nasty. So there is no way to have local variables unless it's inside a function. So what this means is that when people want to have a local variable, this is what they do. Okay, let me show you. So if you want the local variable, you do this. This is what you do. Okay, so you see, you create a function. You create a function. So this is a function, and this is your local variable, and then you do whatever body here. Then you evaluate the function right away, with the bracket. You see, so let's summarize. So you have a function here. This function is evaluated right away, and you have a variable inside and whatever body here. So you see, if you want a locally scoped variable, this is what you do. So you see, this is a workaround. It's tremendous idiotic. It's extremely idiotic. Essentially, what this thing does in normal programming languages, you just say that. You see, in almost every programming language, this is what you do. But in JavaScript, you do this. Before 2015, everyone is doing that. In fact, everyone is doing it today because people try to be compatible, so they want to create JavaScript in browsers. They want to remain 5 years backward compatible. So they compile JavaScript, and it spit out pre 2015 code like that. You see a lot. You see this everywhere basically. So this is extremely stupid. So therefore, in 2015, when JavaScript created, the new version called ES 2015, ECMAScript 2015, they have a spec every year since. So they added a whole lot of features, like more than 10 major features. Basically, it's like an entire new language. Okay, so in ES15, what you do is like this. Okay, you like that. You see, you can use let. Let fixes the problem of the var. You know, the var has lots of other problems, not just this, not just the scope. var has lots of other problems. Um, if like, you can read my tutorial, so go read my tutorial offline. So I show you the syntax of var, then I show you the declaration order. That's another extreme complexity. var has what's called name hoisting, but it does not hoist the value. Okay, that's a major problem. And this page, I explain the function scope. It's called function level scope. Okay, and that's not all. Also, when you have a var, it also becomes a property of the global variable. you know, I can show you here, but then this is going to turn into a JavaScript tutorial today. Uh, which one do I prefer? You mean I probably prefer the first one. Yeah. So Jean-Louis says, I'm not JavaScript programmer. Does that mean if you place var x equals to 3 within function that it becomes global? No, it's not. Okay, I mean, this is JavaScript is rather very convoluted language. So if you want to know, if you haven't coded JavaScript, you probably don't want to know. Okay, it's very convoluted. But if you code JavaScript and you don't care about old browsers, more than 5 years old browsers, then you can stick to using ES 2015. You know, for example, never use var. Basically, that's what people recommend. If you don't care about 5 years older browser, browsers older than before 2015, uh, actually even browser before 2016 or 2017, because browser, this spec ES 2015 came out in 2015. So when it came out, browser have not implemented every feature yet. So typically you wait for like 2 years. So if you code these features, 2015 features, then you can say that browsers after 2018 will be okay, but 2017 version of browsers is probably something is gonna break. So that's a problem. Anyway, that's a progress, right? You have to create new specs, new features. So anyway, what was I saying? So yeah, so if you do not care about backward compatibility, you can always just use 2015 features, like whatever it replaces. For example, var. Typically, it's recommended you never use var unless you are coding, like for very old browsers. Uh, it has lots of problems. Yeah. Anyway, so let me get so I guess I'm not explaining this. Well, let's forget about that. Anyway, so basically anyone who studied JavaScript and you study 2015, we all know. I mean, JavaScript 2015 created a whole bunch of features. I mean, it's like it truly is a new language. I mean, you could say that. However, the JavaScript committee, they decided to be 100% backward compatible. So it's not like Python 2 to Python 3 where you have incompatibility. It's 100% compatible. So they do not, make features obsolete. Rather, they just add on top of it. So they didn't change the meaning of var. Var is still there. They just added new. They added let. So you can just using let and not use var. So anyway, 2015 added a whole bunch of features, and some of them I guess people feel uh, very they are very complicated, lots of features. But one of the least controversial is let. Everyone, anyone who actually code JavaScript, we all know, let is one of the most needed, wanted feature. No controversy. You want let because it's instead of writing this monstrosity, just because you want a local variable, you have to wrap a function around it and evaluate it right away. Instead of using, just that. So, but for some reason, this guy, I don't know if he don't get it. This guy Joe, his question, oh, why do we need that? And he is totally, he, I don't want to. Maybe he's got reasons. I don't know, but it's kind of very silly. So anyway, so because I follow Frederick Brennan, the HM guy, so I replied, are you, oh my God, are you crazy? Look at what he says. I like all the variables in JavaScript have the exact same rules of engagement. Anyway, so I replied, telling him that let is the least controversial, so what are you talking about? Um, Anyway, so the conversation, so we had some conversation. I mean, this is just friendly chat. Uh, no, var is not global. Good that you make the remarks. I'll run doing this his programming. No, var is not global. The scope of var. Okay, let me try to explain this. The scope of var is the closest outer function bracket. So you look outside, you find the nearest function. The var. You try to find if this your var is inside the function. Okay, if it is inside the function, like so, like right now we have, it's a function, it's inside the function. Then the scope of var, whatever that variable is, inside this function. Okay, if var does not find a function, for example, there's no enclosing function, then that is global. Okay, that is the scope of var. Uh, right? Do you see? So okay, yeah. So what is missing is that what if you want a local variable? You know, you want a local variable for some, let's say you want the local variable temporarily, but you are not inside the function. There's no way to do it. Well, one way is that you you create a function just for this purpose. You see, right now we have a function here. You create a function, and then put your variable inside it. Therefore, it has a scope. Just within this function, and do whatever you want to do with the variable. And you have to evaluate the function right away. Put the parentheses that evaluate the function right away, so that this code block actually runs. Because otherwise, it's just a function declaration. It doesn't actually run. You see what I mean? That's why So people do these. You see this code everywhere. This is code. Anyway, so you see this everywhere. This is so that you can have this variable local. That's all. Variable scope is on the harder topic. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, uh, so I was chatting, with them. Okay. So Brandon, Frederick. So I was saying, yeah. Let me get to the Brenda Eich thing. So I was saying, I was telling I was telling Frederick that for reasons the JavaScript committee decided to be 100% backward compatible. This is understandable, and also look at Python 2 versus Python 3 situation, a big failure. So in programming there's an issue. So look at Python 2 and Python 3. So Python, the Guido guy, created Python 3 because he wanted to fix some problems, what he perceived as a problem in Python 2, namely the string. You have Unicode processing problems. String is, have difficulties dealing with Unicode. So in his mind, he want to create something fresh from the ground up. He want a perfect language. So he created Python 3, and he decided it's not going to be backward compatible with Python 2. And this is like 9 years ago. And so it turns out, nobody want, when you do that, when you make something incompatible, like most people are used to habit. They don't want to change. I don't want to change. I don't want just because something. Oh, this is the better way. I have to relearn everything. No, this happens with keyboard. QWERTY layout, whatever. It almost happens with anything. Your habit. People don't want to change. So Python 3 now after almost 10 years, you only got like 60% adoption. Most people are still sticking with Python 2. And all the, let's see, I wrote an article, I made fun of it. And you see, when you have a program, yeah, on one hand, you want to improve. But when you improve, you have this backward compatibility problem because typically for the creator, in my vision, I just want to fix whatever problems and deprecate whatever I think it's ugly. I want to have a perfect language. But if you don't do backward compatible, it creates a practical problem because in the real world, nobody wants to change. They don't want to change just because so that you think you are creating a perfection. So yeah, so Python 3 has have this problem. They decided to be not backward compatible, and it's not trivial. It's actually not trivial to convert your Python 2 code to Python 3. It's unless it's like 10 lines of code. Otherwise, it's not easy. Um, so Python 2, Python got this issue. So when it comes to JavaScript, so they decided, oh, look at Python. They got problems. They decided we're gonna have 100% backward compatible. Um, so that's so yeah. So JavaScript they decided to be backward compatible. But anyway, I made a comment. Okay, um, so I said, but the JavaScript committee also decided not to have a pragma like use JavaScript 2015 string. I then I mentioned I once asked Brendan Eich why not. I didn't fully agree with the reasons he gave. To me, use JS 2015 string is clean. I think common reason again is fear of pragma bloat. So basically, what I'm saying. So let me explain what's going on. So you have a language such as JavaScript. Now JavaScript is a very lousy language because it's designed and implemented in 10 days. 10 days. That's it. That's a history of JavaScript. It's designed, thought up, designed. The whole thing is and implemented in 10 days. So it's got huge backup problems. One day I should talk about all the JavaScript problems. Extremely convoluted. Okay. But the beast is out. This is 1995. You have billions of people using it, all the browsers. So when you want to, now after 20 years, after 25 years, you want to improve it. What you gonna do? If you do like Python, you just remove whatever you think is bad design, mistakes. Then you got problems because all the browsers, billions of websites will break. you know so anyway, so JavaScript people they decided, okay, they're gonna be 100% compatible, and they just add new features. So as a as a programmer, you just use the new features, avoid using the old features. So this way, all the website, or on CD, they'll still work. That's what they do. But however, this still got problems. You see, this is not the perfect solution because you see, JavaScript is so bad a language. var is one example. Var is one example. You have this so-called functional scope. Like no language does that. It's what, you cannot have local scope. So anyway, so to solve the var problem, you can tell people, okay, don't use var anymore. From now on, use let. So that you can solve it that way. But there are other problems with JavaScript. You cannot solve it that way. One example is array. Yeah, a lot problems, not just array. JavaScript has a whole bunch of, like, what you say, uh, uh, lots of problems. Array. Array. So I'm not going to go into details, but basically, the problem is JavaScript array is not real array. In JavaScript, you don't really have array. JavaScript array is basically a JavaScript object that that pretends to be array. So, typically when we have array, you have indexes, right? You can have 0 for the first element, 1, index 1 is a second element, but you go by index. But in JavaScript, it doesn't actually have true array, even though it doesn't have true array. What you have is you have an object. Object is in JavaScript. Object is like Python's dictionary or hash table in Ruby. Okay, it's just a collection of key value pairs. So you have a object, and basically the way JavaScript array is, basically it's a object key value pairs without order, but you pretend like you pretend it's array. So when you create an array, it is actually an object, and those array index 0, 1, 2, and so on, that actually are keys to the values. And you have this magical length property, like length is a magical key such that its value automatically changes when you add more element to the array. So it's like very extremely convoluted. Okay, so that's one of the problem of JavaScript. And also, look, when you say array, type of array, it says object because it's just totally screwed up language. You say type of, it returns object. So anyway, that's the situation with JavaScript array. And imagine, array is one of the most fundamental data type in any programming language. But in JavaScript, you have this situation, and it gets, it's not that's not all, and there's lots of problems when you, for example, you have an array, you remove some element in the middle, then all of a sudden this array becomes so-called a it becomes so-called a sparse array. Basically, what it means is that it loses efficiency property. It becomes an object. It stops pretending to be an array anymore. It actually becomes an object when you remove, lots of elements in an array in the middle. So anyway, it's even, it'll take a lot of time actually to explain because it's very convoluted. No language is like that. Not even Perl. Perl is not, no language is like this. Okay, so back to the watts. Yeah, that's what I mean, watts. Hey, Benjamin. So I'm gonna read the comment in a bit. So let me get back to the array JavaScript problems. So JavaScript. So okay. So array is one of the problem, one of the big what, like the nasty size, nasty cancer cell in JavaScript. Okay, so but JavaScript, the people, they decided they need to be 100% compatible. So, and they decided, they are just going to add new features as a way to fix all these watts. But when it comes to something like array, which is deep in part of your body, that's a cancer cell. You cannot just fix it by having new features, because this is core. This is the core of the language. Uh, unless I guess one way is that you tell people not to use array anymore, and you create something new array. That so that people stop using array. But they didn't do that. But anyway, so what I'm getting into is that some words you cannot fix by just piling on new features, and one of that example is, you can say that one of the example is array. So what how do you solve this problem? On one hand, you want to try to be 100% backward compatible, but if you do that, then your language remain ugly, remain these giant words there forever, because there's an array there. So, but one solution, I think it's a good solution, is that you can have what's called a pragma. It's like a hack. At the top of the language, you say use JavaScript 2015. In JavaScript, you has this use strict. I don't know if you know about that. So anyway, so you have this use strict. They created this use strict back in 2015, or was it before? Anyway, you put this string use strict. It's a string at top of your source code. When JavaScript compiler, a string doesn't do anything. It's just a string. It's not doing anything. But when JavaScript compiler sees that, it will actually compile. It will interpret your code differently. So that's this kind of thing is called pragma. Pragma, or sometimes it's called directive. I don't know what's the origin of those names, but anyways, it's sometimes called pragma or directive. I think it came from C. Is that right? Does anyone know? Yeah, maybe they copied from Perl. I know in Perl it's called directive, or pragma. Um, so anyway, so JavaScript created this use strict. It's kind of like a hack. It's really it's ugly, but but by having this, it's kind of, so when you do this, now you can fix your language problems. You see, so for example, if we say, so what I'm thinking is that JavaScript should create a used JS 2015. So when compiler sees this, then any array will become, without the whats, they will become a true array. So this is one way to fix problems in the language. Because from this day on, when I write the JavaScript code, I can, in the beginning, I say use JavaScript 2015. That tells the compiler, my code is going to be a new JavaScript language, not the old. That's kind of one way to fix it. You still have this ugly hack, this pragma thing at the beginning, but that's one way to, clear out all the words of the language. Meanwhile, the all the old code, they don't have this line. They don't have this use. Most of probably, they don't have this line, so they will still work. But since now on, every programmer add this line, then the meaning of the code changes. It's a new language. So we can read up all the problems of the old language. So I think this is a good solution. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say in this message. Talking to them. So that's what I'm saying. So, but one time, about a year or two ago, I asked Brendan Eich, why doesn't JavaScript introduce this use JS 2015 pragma? And he told me the answer, but basically he pointed out to this this as old discussion. This discussion 9 years ago. Okay, so he point, this is a discussion among some other guy, Mark S. Miller. I don't know who he is, but anyway, he probably implement JavaScript or something. Um, and between and him, he also Brendan Eich. You see, that's him. So this is back in 2010 article, and it's hard to read because first of all it's 9 years old. So they were talking about things happened 9 years ago. They were talking Harmony. Harmony was the code for ES 2015, the code name. So it's very old and it's hard to read because another thing with Brendan Eich is that he's a nerd, and usually I've noticed, because I've been reading him now and then. I noticed he doesn't. I don't think he expressed things well. I mean, he's sometimes it's hard to understand what exactly he's saying, and he also tends to be kind of rude, or yeah, well, not necessarily like JWZ, okay, like that Jamie Zawinski guy. He's a nerd, and he tends to be antagonistic. Like when if for example, if you talk to him, I'm saying, okay, this is my perception, okay, this is my judgment of this guy. Like, I mean, even in a friendly context, he tends to be like antagonistic, like that kind of style, the way he and also hard to understand, not, anyway. So about a year or two ago, I asked him because I want to support him, and I don't mean like I just ask him for a question, answer me, I because I want to support him. So back then I asked him and he gave me an answer, and I think I don't remember, but I think he pointed me to this article, this long thread. This is huge page, of the 30 pages of discussion. It's hard to understand, hard to read. So back then, I think I looked at it. I don't, you have to spend like more than an hour to understand what's going on, because very complex, and long ago. So I mentioned, this is. So I mentioned in this thread, this is like 5 days ago. I mentioned to, I was chatting with Frederick Brennan. So I mentioned, okay, I asked Brendan Eich a year ago why JavaScript doesn't use JS 2015, and I told I told Frederick that, okay, Brendan, I gave me some answer, but I don't fully understand, and I don't agree because I vaguely recall, I try to read this, I try to get a sense what's going on, what is the reason he says. I get a sense, it's too long and hard to understand, but I kind of get a sense, I don't agree. I kind of get the sense because why so, but I do understand. So why do they not want to have this programmer? Because one reason is that when you have a programmer like that, then suppose 2 years later, then people start to want to another. People want to demand another programmer, like JS 2017. Then in 2020 people want JS 2020. Then your language becomes filled with these pragma hacks, like each one is a different. Basically each one is like a different language. JavaScript becomes this bag of pragma, like, and like, does order matter, so things like that. And I learned later, it turns out it's a compiler problem too, because compiler has to, each time you add this, you add this pragma to your language, the compiler becomes more complicated because each one of these pragma is like a new language. but the compiler needs to be remain backward compatible. So each one, so it's almost like the compiler double in size. It needs to parse different languages. So that's kind of the reason I get out of it, which I call it a pragma bloat. Okay, so Brendan Eich, he answered. The reason, see, I tagged Brendan Eich in this oh my god, Twitter is. So anyway, I tagged him, so he answered. The reason is not just fear of pragma bloat, he says, but rather. Uh, Hold on a second. I clicked somewhere by mistake. Let me go back. Okay. Okay, so he says. So Brendan Eich says the reason is not just fear of pragma bloat, but rather the real and combinatorially explosive cost of pragma bloat. Okay, so he's saying that each time you add a pragma, the compiler basically needs to parse that new language. So then he pointed this link, this link we've just seen. He pointed this link, and he says, "I gave that reason to you before." This. Okay, so I didn't. So it. So he. So I. Great, thank you. He showed the link again. So I said, Brendan, thanks. I'm very polite. To this point, I'm very supportive of him. The reason I tagged him because so that possibly he could, he have a chance to, first of all, it increases his reputation, so that people can follow him. Because this name, people might follow him, and also he could, possibly if he wants to, he could explain to me and other people what is his reason, his thinking. Uh, so I say, okay, Brendan, thanks. I don't quite understand, but I don't quite understand. You argue against normal mods, but also warm mod combo explosion. But you also suggest new land tag instead. Also in my mind, use strict and use js2015 would be only two. You know, so what I'm saying is that because the link he gave is 9 years old, and in this link, if you actually take an hour to read it, he actually back then, at least back then, he suggests, back then he's telling people, he's recommending. Let me show you what he's recommending. He's recommending this. Okay. Uh, he's recommending things like that. He want a new language tag. Let me hold on a second. Okay. He back then he's suggesting that script land JavaScript 2015. He actually said here, somewhere here, it's kind of very long article, 40-50 pages. So the thing is, this 9 years old discussion is very complicated, and it delves into the core of JavaScript, and also it's very old. They were talking about ES5 and stuff. So it's any same person. This is not easy to read, even if you are. I wrote JavaScript in depth, so I know the very hardcore details, but this is still hard to read. So this anyway, the thing is that this Brendan Eich guy, he's like very rude. So his first response is that, okay, he explained and gave the link, and he says, I gave the reason to you before, and I didn't take any issue with that. Then I replied, okay. Then I replied, but thank you, Brendan. But there's something I don't understand because I want to get the answer. If he is willing to answer, what is your reason, Brendan? Why do you think? Actually, he's not the leader of JavaScript. The JavaScript team committee. He doesn't have power actually today. Today he doesn't have a power to tell the JavaScript committee, ES 2019, 2020 what to do. Yeah, he has actually very little power. But I'm talking to him because so Brendan, tell us your opinion. Like what do you think should be? Why do you think there's no use strict? Things like that. But anyway, after a few more discussions, uh, this guy Brendan Eich, he's kind of idiotic. Anyway, I got, I haven't, you know, I have to go through this thread and explain, those things in detail. You can read it. Um, I, um, so basically, I tried to ask him because the link he gave is not too clear. Because on one hand, you know, like on in this, he's got many issues. Okay, on this link he sent 9 years ago, he is fucking arguing with this guy, this Mark S. Miller. He's very rude. This Brendan Eich very rude because Mark Miller said that he visited Google VA team, and VA team told him don't we don't want no more pragmas, and he is arguing against that. Brendan Eich is arguing. He's like Brendan Eich is saying we want a new language tag, things like that. So the point is you don't get exactly. I'm trying to understand what exactly Brendan Eich wants. Then he's showed me this link long 9 years ago link, and you can't make sense out of it. And in fact, Brendan Eich is saying that you should use a new language tag. Then anyway, so this gets complicated to explain. So I'm so far so good. But I don't understand. So I'm asking Brendan. Actually, I didn't even bother asking him. I was talking to Frederick. Okay. Then he just replied. He just replied to me automatically because he's a nerd. Okay, he's this antagonistic type of guy, and he go around arguing with all the people on Twitter every day. Typically all the coders like him. I'm like that too. Okay, but typically, like someone of his status, typically you become CEO, or what you open, you do your, you become CEO of a new company or something. You don't bother coding stuff. You don't talk, you don't argue about programming languages anymore, But he's different. He's a classic nerd. He go around telling, arguing with people about language design, JavaScript details. So anyway, he replied to my question. Okay, so I was talking to Frederick, Brennan guy. Then he just came back and and telling me things, and very idiotic things. So this message, so let's see what we're talking about. JavaScript leader is Google. So yeah, I was talking to Frederick, but then he come back and says no. The answer is to use get as linked standard JS TypeScript Act. Completely idiotic. Getting rereading this thread makes me angry because this thread, it rubbed me the wrong way because up to not there's more. Actually, it's up to this point. I find it very distasteful because I was all this while, I was like really supportive of him, and in nowhere I was rude to him. Nowhere, but he is like I, I don't know. Maybe he's not. It's maybe he thought I was a troll or something because on Twitter I post a lot of other things. Maybe, but maybe and maybe not because he's just like that. This Brendan guy. Anyway, it's idiotic, Brendan. Okay, I forgot. There's so many things to say about it. I'm kind of tired because this is my sleeping time. I'm going to go to bed, so I'm kind of unfocused and rambling about. Um, and very very idiotic the Brendan Eich, to the point. I'm still following him. You have to realize I'm following him and he knows. And in fact, a few months ago, I was helping the Brendan Eich, his team fixing some Brave browser bug. But he's just rude, and also he's it seems to me his head is like buried in the JavaScript drama. He becoming stupid. I don't know, too old or what. The thing that bothered me that is the last message, like this one. Like I wasn't talking. I was not being rude, and I was not bothering him. In fact, all this while I was trying to, not even trying. I didn't do anything to him. Then he look at his last message, and I meant what I wrote at this. It's like, oh, I meant what I wrote at this. The only observable evidence you bring is your shifting rhetoric, which is not good on its face. Don't tempt me to mute. What the fuck? This fucking scum. I in no way, like anyone, you guys can read this thread, okay? In no way I was trying to insult him in any way. In fact, I would not in any. In fact, my attitude was like I was trying to support him, but also I was not like putting out a message to him so that bothering him or in any way. He just like started to have this attitude for some out of nowhere, and the last message is like, he's telling me he wrote what he means, whatever fucking rude message, and and he's saying, the only observable evidence you bring is your shifting rhetoric. What the fuck, this scum? Observable evidence you bring. Like, what do you mean evidence? But fucking are we like in a court? Like you are suing me and I'm suing your ass. So he's like starting to use the phrase observable evidence. This fuckhead. And he's like blaming me for some certain evidence that you bring is your shifting rhetoric, like I'm doing rhetoric. Oh my god, don't attempt and don't tempt me to mute. This is a fucking scumbag, and all this while I'm still right now following him. When he wrote, when I saw this, I was getting angry. It kind of it hurts. Because all this while there's nothing wrong I've done. Yeah, and so at this point, typically, like Xah, I should back right away. I don't like mute. Do I care? Do you think I care? Do I care? He mute me. This guy. In this modern age, anyone can fucking mute any other. Like typically, anyone would just go fuck yourself. Do I like? Are you paying me? He's not paying me. I don't owe him money. He's not, donating me to anything. And all this while I was trying to be, I was, supportive of him. And he's saying mute. What the fuck is he thinking? That's not all. And also he's anyway. So basically, what happened is that he is thinking, somehow he is thinking, he is thinking, I think he is thinking I'm trying to start, some kind of a flame war. And anyway, so I'm kind of tired, so I kind of like rambled all over and unfocused, and I don't know what am I doing anyway. So let's yeah, he's a troll, and he's a nerd. He's one of the primary nerd, and he's 60 years old, something like that. I'm 50. I'm old enough. And he's like probably 10 years old than me or something, and he's CEO of Brave and stuff. But he's still arguing with people about programming language. You see it all the time. Like you go to his Twitter, you go to his Twitter and you look at his replies. That's when you see how he replies to other people, and you can see that he's like arguing like typical programmers. Oh, my language is better. No, your language is stupid. He's doing that with other people all the time. Almost like hitting random, like he just random people. This fucking idiotic Brendan Eich. Look. Let's see this one. Okay, who owns your attention? That's he's trying to peddle Brave. Let's look at his. I must be talking like for over 2 hours or something, like not making any sense. Okay, I'm like talking way too much. And let's look at. Okay, um, let's see. Let's see his replies. Yeah, he's arguing with people. Let's see his. Let's go to tweets and replies. Okay, let's see. Let's stop the auto click so I don't run them. So don't forget a scanner darkly which has adopted something something. Uh, Suicide watch. Funny. Wonder how long this edit will last. What is this? Wikipedia. Jeffrey Epstein. Anyway, when I saw that his message, like when I saw that, I was kind of angry. I was angry for like half a day, and I kind of respect him, so I didn't. I end up not responding. Okay, let it go. I wasn't even. I was thinking. Then I was thinking. I'm going to make a video. Like Xah Talk Show. I'm gonna talk about it the next day. When I was so fresh. But then I was thinking, nah. Let just let it go. Because things like it's like that. If you just let it go, you forget about that. You move on with better things. But if you know me, I'm known as a troll, like kind of like him. Okay, the kind of behavior mentality. So when I saw that, I have written a reply right away, like a fucking sting him. You know, um, not in a bad way though, but like as a nerd, you shoot back exactly what you wanted. Like telling him to go fuck himself. But meanwhile, I mean, not in a rude way, but like you express exactly where he did you wrong. Okay, you express that, and you shoot back with satire, poetry. Like things like that. And I have written a reply right away. Let's see if I have it here. I tried to blog it, but I kind of abandoned because I haven't. Oh, there it is. There it is. You have to keep, within the Twitter limit, 280 characters. So this is my reply I didn't send, but I wrote this right away. Hello, Brendan. You are a true nerd, always antagonistic. I feel estranged because one, I was trying to promote your take on why no mod, okay, and and with a emoji. Two, JavaScript is good because we should use TypeScript plus linter instead. That's a question mark, sarcastic question mark, because it's idiotic Brendan Eich, like he's saying. Oh, I have to explain the thread which I skipped. He's saying that we should use TypeScript. I was saying, I okay. Let me try to explain. So the thread, I was, I was saying, we should use the, I was recommend, I was, when we were talking about this, I give my, I was saying that this use 2015 is a good thing because that way we can get rid of the words, meanwhile improve with the language. And he was saying that the problem this pragma creates is that you'll have combinatorial pragma bloat, okay? And I was saying, yeah, I understand, but we only have two pragmas, just these two, because use strict is already there. So we possibly only have one more pragma. But I understand, this is the slippery road. Like people don't want pragma because then next year, 2020, 2021, people will say, okay, just one more, just one more. But I understand that, but I'm saying, let's just have two. Use strict is already there, which is a kind of mistake. Okay, it doesn't do much. Then I'm saying let's just add one, and let me give you my justification why we need another pragma. JavaScript 2015, because before 2015 JavaScript is the old language. Since 2000, ES ECMAScript 2015, we added this 20 entirely, it's basically a new language. Therefore my thinking, I'm trying to explain my thinking since we are on this subject, about the pragma. So I just post. In fact, I was explaining to this the other guy, not Brendan. So my thinking is that okay, we just have one, two total of two pragmas. This way, we can totally fix the old JavaScript huge baggage of cancer. We can totally have a new language and only two pragma, no more. Okay. Because the old JavaScript language is truly bad, it's cancer. That then he saw my part. He saw, you know you see, I was okay. Here's the thread. I was trying to talk to Frederick, my friend, about why I think we need a new mod. I was talking to Frederick. Then the Brendan Eich fuck comes in, and he says no. He says the answer is to use a fucking Twitter, fucking Twitter with his pop up. Fuck. He comes in. He says the answer is to use lint. Lint is a tool that cleans up your code, kind of. And standard JS is another. It's kind of a convention started by this guy, by this Feroz guy, which is a young coder, JavaScript star. Standard JS basically is a convention. For example, JavaScript has lots of problems. One of the problem is the semicolon problem. So there's a question whether to use or not to use semicolon. If you don't use Java semicolon, JavaScript compiler has a feature that will add semicolon to your code, but it's done so badly such that sometimes they create bugs. So this is another major issue with JavaScript. You might have heard. So that is why. So anyway, So there's many styles, no universal agreement. Some people say you always need semicolon. For example, the guy who created JSON, that guy, he says, his opinion. You and Google Google's coding convention for JavaScript is to say always use uh, semicolon. Okay, I have articles details about that. Let's see. Style guide. Okay, you can read the details. Wait. Okay, this style guide covers lots of JavaScript problems, but there's also a dedicated article about semicolon in JavaScript. It's a big flame war. Okay, there are two. About semicolon, there are two different schools. One school is that you should always use semicolon. You know, and the other school, which is this Feroz guy, this new kid in town. And one of the sect is called Standard JS. Okay, that's the name for their convention. This school, one of their rule is that you should never use semicolon. If you don't use semicolon, you have other things. Then you should never have a line that starts with an array. The square bracket. Otherwise, you'll have bugs. You'll have problems. So if you never use semicolon, then your code should never have a new line that start with a square bracket. Okay, that's a thing. That's a thing you have to know. So anyway, so standard JS is a name for a convention in JavaScript started by I think Feroz guy. It's quite popular. Okay, it's kind of a new generation. They do that. And then there's a TypeScript. As you know, TypeScript is a wrapper. It's like an add-on language to JavaScript, adding the types. So the Brendan. So I was saying JavaScript is pretty bad. Therefore, if we can have a new use strict, 2015, that could fix all the problems of the old JavaScript. Paves the road for the new. And Brendan, he comes to me and he says, no, the answer is to use getLint. Lint is a tool. And standard JS and TypeScript act. This avoids combinatorial mod explosion in engine, which avoids adding bugs and performance cliffs. And he says you are off target to make vague most hate assertion. That is not even wrong. It is merely imponderable, useless. This extremely he's getting starting to piss me off because this is you know he is saying that. So I was saying so let me read what I said. Okay, and in fact I was answering to my friend Frederick. Okay, so I was saying we could argue the Pragma use JS 2015 open store to 2020 act battles, but we all agree that JavaScript 2015 is truly a new language. A pragma lets us fix the life-threatening warts in JavaScript. This is critical because even now, most hackers hate JavaScript. We will never code it. If you always, go ask Golang people, Rust people, Python people, Clojure people, Haskell people, Lisp people, they hate JavaScript. Because I've been trying, all my followers, I know that, they hate JavaScript. And Brendan comes in, he thinks, he says, so he think I'm like trolling or something, and he's telling people that you should use the lint tool and the standard JS convention and TypeScript as a way to fix JavaScript. And he's saying, most hate assertion that is not even wrong. It's merely imponderable, useless. So it's like, so we are not on the same road. I'm trying to explain to Frederick, like why I think we need, why I think this new programmer is a good thing, because the old JavaScript is truly bad language. So if we could have this one-time programmer together, we have total of two programmers, then we can really fix this language. And I think this is critical because today a lot of people truly hate JavaScript. You ask all the Haskell closure, these people, Python people, Julia people, any people, have a love for language. They all hate JavaScript. The fucking Brendan Eich, what are you thinking? And he's saying, oh, you just use, no, the answer is to use lint, use standard JS, use another TypeScript language wrapper on top of the already complicated JavaScript. And he say, I'm off target to make vague most hate assertions. That is not even wrong. It is merely imponderable usage. So we are on different roads here. So I replied, that is strange things you are saying. At this point, I'm not, I'm still don't I'm not getting any sense of bad vibes. I saw his point. I'm trying to reply. Okay, what a strange thing you are saying. You as an old hacker knew no one loves a language that depends on wrapper language and linting tools. You know, linting tools. When people hate JavaScript, you don't tell them, oh, just use this lint tool. What a fucking idiot. Who says that? Suppose you create a lousy language, then you say, oh, just use the lint tool or use this wrapper language on top of it. So I try to explain, hackers do not like JavaScript is a matter of fact. What are you talking about? JavaScript plus JavaScript 2015 is so bad that industrial, like today, industrial envision it being just a bytecode middleman. That's what happening today. Because JavaScript, today you have these, JavaScript gets so complex. You have lots of language that compiles to JavaScript. Oh, then you have the ASM, the assembly, like basically you consider JavaScript as a assembly. So you code in other languages that compiles to JavaScript. So there's a trend, commonly accepted that JavaScript is like a web assembly language. Nobody like you don't code JavaScript, you code other languages that compile to JavaScript. So I said this. I didn't think it's controversial at all. Then this Feroz guy, he says, these young people, I guess I don't know how maybe they for some reason, maybe because my Twitter's other posts, they think I'm a troll. I don't know. So this Feroz guy, he's a young guy, young star. He says, Lord, there are literally millions of happy people who love writing JavaScript. Can you guys, like, you read this, can you believe it? He says I'm a bubble. He says there are literally millions of happy people who love writing JavaScript. Can you? Actually, that is factually true. This new generation, JavaScript is extremely popular. Yeah, they love it, but they are like Java. Like when I talk to my followers, what do you think of JavaScript? JavaScript, like nobody wants to touch it. It's like idiotic. Like yeah, a lot million of happy people. Those are idiotic people who don't know C, who don't know Lisp, who don't know what the fucking is coding. They just pull libraries. That's what the fucking you idiots are. But anyway, I understand. Then I replied, hi Feroz. And so far, it's I don't see any bad vibes. At this point, I still didn't see anything bad. So I just kindly reply, hi Feroz, you are a young generation JavaScript star. Most JavaScript star are new generation. I'm in a bubble as much as you are. Look at Lisp, Haskell, Python, Perl communities. Rare you'll find a person liking JavaScript. This is true. Who likes JavaScript? A lot Ruby coders, they like JavaScript. They are in the same kind of generation, Ruby coders and new. So this is not, and also I mentioned this is not young versus old, because Haskell coders, today's Haskell, lots of Haskell coders. Most of them are also young generation. Okay, so this is not like old generations versus new. A lot of Haskell coders, they are new generation and they hate JavaScript. Then the Brendan Eich, that he comes in again. You are just not you are just noting tribal behavior which cuts many ways. Do not cherry pick. So anyway, I think I'm gonna stop because I'm kind of tired. I'm just like ranting randomly, making no sense at this point, I guess. So I guess how many people are watching? I get more and more watching people watching me anyway. So what do you guys think? Do you tell me your response? Like, do you think I'm crazy or what? Who is going insane here? Back in the days, like for this time, I'm thinking, I just let it go. So back in the days, I shoot back right away, fucking idiot, and I'm going to broadcast this thread to all the people. So this is what I am. Back in the days, in the 2000s, say in computer language, people call me a troll in these groups. I'm gonna post this. I'm gonna capture screen, the full record of this entire thread without me, trying to edit or anything, nothing like that. I'm going to capture this. I'm gonna, frame it, and broadcast it to for all the world to see. I want people to see who is the fuckhead, who is impolite, who is the motherfucking idiot, not getting what's going on. This Brendan Eich and this, you know, for us. By the way, they are not bad. Okay, they are not doing anything wrong. It's not that serious, but this there's something, this not, they are doing, they are not being, I mean, for us he didn't do anything wrong. Okay, but the Brendan Eich, at the end, he's, don't tempt me to mute. Fucking who care about you? Don't tempt me to, do I care? Anyway, uh, so anyway, that's the situation there. uh, So let me read the comments. So Jean Louis says it appears that JavaScript design decisions are from one person or few without social consent. I think Scheme has social consent on how language should develop. No, actually JavaScript is designed. They have this committee. It's actually by social consent. They have, you can follow and look up. I kind of follow, but not very tightly. Right now, every year they have a new version, like new spec. There's a JavaScript 2019. I don't know if 2019 is out yet, but anyway, every year they have a new spec, and they have procedures like how they make the decision. Basically, anyone can participate. You can, if you want to, you make up your proposal, and they have several steps to go through. And I can show you, I can show you the places anyway. um, let's try to find it. Okay, TC34 something. Yeah, I'm kind of tired, so I kind of like rambling and unfocused. um, yeah, TC34. Let's see, JavaScript. Uh, Come on, ECMA script 2019. Okay, let's see if I can find that. But anyway, it's there's a committee, and you can read about this guy. This is a great JavaScript expert. This duality guy. This guy, Dr. Axel uh, Runchmeyer. He's a great JavaScript expert, and He writes blog about the latest JavaScript often, all the time. So a word on a word on ECMAScript version. So okay, so TC39. TC39 is the name for the process for new ECMA features. He explains how it works. So so actually it's kind of by a committee. And Brendan Eich, he doesn't have any power. I'm asking him on the Twitter thread just because I want to get his opinion. Yeah, but I know he doesn't like he doesn't have any power on the new JavaScript decisions. And in fact, sometimes he wants things this way, but they don't want it that way. Things like that. Um, okay, hi Farah, warrior. So Jean Louis says, okay, so Benjamin says many nerds are very rude, even Linus Torvalds. Yeah, Linus Torvalds is another one. Yeah, that's exactly. He's a talker, and when it comes to writing, he flames people all the time. So Linus Torvalds, and I don't know if we include Brendan Eich in that group. Brendan Eich doesn't swear though. He doesn't say go fuck yourself. He doesn't do that though. At least I haven't seen. But Jamie Zawinski does. The other guy I was talking about in the beginning of this video on keyboard. He does that. Flame people. John Lewis says being rude is a choice for people, but we are all related. So being rude to a known person is about same as being rude to oneself or to friends and family. Okay, I'm kind of tired. So JavaScript leader is Google. Ike is a troll. He only made Brave because Mozilla didn't want him anymore. Okay. We are stuck with JavaScript forever because of the web, even if everyone hates it. So it's important to improve. So Benjamin says JavaScript is popular for people who go to code camps because they want a tech job. Exactly. That's all they know. Yeah. So Ryan Ward says, I love programming on my calculator in Casio Basic in middle school. Does that make it a good language? Of course not. I'm sure some people love JavaScript, but that doesn't mean it's because the language is good. Yeah, okay, that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. it's yeah, I'm tired, and just this is just a giant ramble. Okay, thank you guys. Bye guys. Any questions? Any last words? Type it. Uh, yeah. So what do you guys think? I'm not too crazy, right? Anyway, so on the news is this guy Jeffrey Epstein. Supposedly he killed himself, but by the way, he's got a private island, and Marvin Minsky, which is one of the greatest AI artificial intelligence researcher, also went to the island. In fact, Marvin Minsky is one of the accused for having to do with the girls, and also Gerard Sussman, the scheme lisp guy, also went to the island. So that's a big political thing. Okay, that's it. Okay, okay. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.